killing is drawing unexpected reaction on social media. Many people expressing support for the shooter.
United Healthcare, by a 90% margin, denied more claims than any other insurance company.
I'm just like, but how fucked is the American healthcare system that the only way to fix it is murder?
Alexa, that's so sad. Play We Didn't Start the Fire.
That I have to deal with insurance companies all the live long day. And I see people on a daily basis who literally cannot afford their own prescriptions or being constantly denied by their own insurance companies. So when the haters are mad about people's reaction to the CEO of United Healthcare being unalived, well, what did you expect? If they don't care about us, we're clearly not going to care about them.
The assassin was super impressive, okay? We've never seen anything like this.
Now, as a therapist, I wonder how many deaths is United Healthcare responsible for? How many deaths are Blue Cross responsible for? How many deaths is Cigna signed up for? How many deaths each of these insurance companies have signed off so that they can go ahead and have bigger profits? Profit is the extra money. And these people made billions of dollars in extra money. So again, I ask the question, how many people have been denied medication? A surgery? How many people have been denied the full rights to use the fullness of the healthcare coverage that they have to pay for?
This man clearly did that. Did he train at the Marvel Studios with all the other Chris's, okay? Because Luigi, that's a spicy meatball. I'm so sorry. I believe if we're going to claim to be a Christian nation, that we need to act like one. And part of acting like that is practicing forgiveness. And after a lot of seconds of thinking, I've decided I'm going to forgive him. I'm ready to forgive him, right? But not forget, because, I mean, my God, how could you forget an angel like this? I'm not going to lie. For a while, I thought, oh my God, we're never going to find him, you know? And I was wrong. Because somewhere along the way, the ups and downs, the highs and lows, the masks and no masks, this man, he found a way into our hearts.
You snitched on an assassin? First of all, bitch, I didn't snitch on shit. It was one of my bitch-ass employees.
Duh, that happened, but it's more than I thought it would be. It's indicative of just how bad things are. Like, this guy was pure evil. He was on his way to a meeting to discuss how to better extract value from the sick and needy. The purpose of a healthcare company is to deny as many claims as possible to maximize profits for the shareholders, not to help people get medical treatment. And as the chief executive, he is the head of the company. All responsibility stops with him. He is, for all intents and purposes, one of the most notorious serial killers in America, and he was paid handsomely to do it. People can't afford groceries and healthcare. What else would you expect? Maybe don't push people to that brink. And it's not just anger and rage. This is mortality. This is the impact that this man had on people's lives. He may not have been the one that was actively making the decision saying, no, this person doesn't get to have their anesthesia for their surgery. But at the end of the day, he was still profiting from that company, doing the things that ruin people's lives. From a health insurance company compared to a military. Here is a group whose whole thing is making sure that people don't get coverage when they need it. If a doctor says you need this or you'll be dead, and the insurance company is like, nah, you don't need that, I don't understand how that's anything less than violence. Anyway, go forth with the confidence that you're not going to get targeted by a literal assassin.
I don't understand what's going on. Why are you crying?
A person is dead. I feel sad.
That's insane. You don't feel sad when a monster dies in a monster movie.
I was born with a pre-diagnosed medical. I was born with a heart defect. I probably wouldn't even have insurance if it wasn't for my employer, because all these fuckers would probably deny me. When I was a kid and I had to have surgery, my father's employer fucking fired him before I had to have surgery. Luckily, the Ronald McDonald Fund and some state charities paid for it. Half of the population doesn't even go to the doctors. They're just collecting their monthly premium and payments and still have the nerve to charge them a fucking copay. So why the fuck do we have to pay for health insurance unless we absolutely fucking need it? Because these fucking assholes and healthcare is so goddamn expensive. $10,000 for one night stay in the hospital. In all honesty, he was like lower tier. He did a lot of denials though, and he used AI. So I'm wondering if all the amount of denials, since they had like 90% of the denials as one of the key factors, but this is crazy. Then when you live this type of lifestyle, lose empathy. Day in the hospital is like, if you got to stay overnight, that's like almost like $10,000, maybe $5,000. And then the insurance company isn't paying all of it or isn't even approving it. That emergency room might be in your pocket network, but let's say the person who's doing the x-ray, they aren't. Or the physician, the ER physician who visited you in the emergency room, who evaluated you, they're not in that company's profile. But like when you're in an emergency, you're supposed to say, do I get covered by... It's just a fucking scam. These healthcare insurance companies are all fucking frauds. They're all fucking scammers, pyramid scheme. Most people don't want to go to the hospital unless something is fucking wrong with them.
Insurance companies, even though you've been paying insurance to get insured for something, they're going to try to deny that claim, and they're going to try finding a way to doing it. And if you dare try to sue them for it, what they'll do is they will defend that. You will have to sue for coverage. And that's what the issue is. Depose is part of the lawsuit process, where when you get sued, you have to be deposed as a part of that process, because this is how they make their profit. And so that is going to be a shot.
Like, you're not God. You're not the judge of who's good and who's bad, who gets to live, who gets to die. Only one person gets to decide that. And that is the United Healthcare AI algorithm that they designed to automatically deny insurance claims and resulted in over 90% error rates, meaning 90% of medically necessary treatments being automatically denied by a computerized system to maximize profits. That's who gets to decide who lives and dies. Not you, not me, not Hermione, the AI.
Delay, Deny, Defend, which are the title of a 2010 book that was highly critical of the insurance industry. The website of the book, written by Jay Feinman, says, quote, all insurance companies have an incentive to chisel their customers in order to increase profits. United Healthcare covers over 49 million Americans and brought in over $281 billion in revenue last year. Although it's one of the biggest insurers in the country, it and its competitors have come under fire from patients, lawmakers, and even doctors in recent years. That's because they've been increasingly interfering with even routine care, which in some cases can hurt a patient's chances of recovery or even survival. Doctors and patients have become particularly frustrated with prior authorizations, which require that the insurer signs off on surgeries or care before they happen. The U.S. Senate Permanent Subcommittee for Investigations named United Healthcare in an October report that detailed how denials of prior authorization claims were surging. Insurers would argue that prior authorization is necessary to mitigate excessive use of care and unnecessary procedures.
I have battled with my healthcare company all year for a legit breast cancer diagnosis. It's called insurance for a reason. They roll the dice. You pay a hefty premium every month, 32 years, and I've never needed anything beyond a few prescriptions, annual visits, but the bullshit. Deny, I'd have to fight it. Delay, so then I couldn't get my cancer treatments in a timely manner. And then somehow jackassery defending what they did. And then I look at the P&L sheets of those insurance companies and the salaries of this C-suite. No sympathy here.
I'm a board-certified neurosurgeon, which leads us to think that this potentially could represent his own spine x-ray. This is an oblique-looking x-ray. It's not the best construct in my opinion, and could potentially mean that he even suffered from a failed spinal fusion. Could lead to chronic lower back pain and could necessitate an individual to file a lot of claims with their insurance company that could be denied. I take care of these kind of patients all the time, and it is a constant battle with the insurance company trying to get these patients what they need to help them deal with their pain. Whether that be medications and dealing with the opioid pandemic and doing prior authorizations for meds that they may need, possibly even denials on surgery, because I deal with that stuff every single day. And as a physician, it's extremely frustrating, but you can imagine someone that lives in chronic daily pain.
Every year I go through a thing where my insurance company, in its infinite wisdom, doesn't want to pay that helps my pain fucking stuck in bed all day. Come January, I am usually stuck paying $1,000 a month out of pocket. I can afford it, but it still sucks. But I've also been in the chronic pain community long enough that, I had to go on gabapentin, Lyrica, amitriptyline, and all this other stuff before my insurance would cover something that's actually effective. You can finally have single payer instead of leaving chronic pain patients and chronically.
Did you see? He just walks up and blasted him point blank. I know, it's awesome. Excuse me, have you seen this man? I'm sure you've heard of the CEO, but his killer is still out there, and if you have any information that'll help us— I don't know what you're talking about. I have never seen that man in my life. Sir, please. Matter of fact, we have to find him. He's still out there. He's armed and dangerous. He could strike—
You pay your premiums in, and all of a sudden they don't want to cover your anesthesiology. They don't want to sign into Obamacare. They don't want to cover you. They don't want to cover your kidney transplant because they're like, your other kidney fine. And there is a very real anger at the insurance companies that we're seeing unfold over this incident. That's how you run government, like a business. So just note the irony that some of the same people who were saying run government like a business don't understand that they voted to run the government like United Healthcare.
I think he did it. But you know what? Even if he did do it, you know what I mean?
United Health Group, we are deeply saddened and shocked at the passing of our dear friend and colleague, Brian Thompson, the CEO of United Healthcare. 41,000 ha-has. Only 2.2 thousand kind of sad crying faces. I'm sorry, prior authorization is required for thoughts and prayers. 15,000 likes. Was his trip to the ER really emergent? According to his own company, my husband's heart attack wasn't an emergency, and we were out $3,000, full deductible. 5,000 likes. Is crazy what my first thought was, and then I look at the comments and realize I'm not alone in my thoughts. 1,000 likes. I can't even pretend to care. I hope he's looking up at us.
Number 6. Woo! Contestant number 7. Woo! Contestant number 8.
They just won't cover my stuff. So I have Blue Cross Blue Shield.
3 different surgeries to have the cancer cut out of me. In addition to the monthly premiums, the deductibles, the random out-of-pocket costs. So then after I had my surgeries, they did not want to pay for my anesthesia. The anesthesia is typically a different company that is contracted to come in and do the anesthesia. Well, United Healthcare didn't want to pay for it. The way the hospital operates and the way that they hire people to do the services that they need is not on me. It's on you to deal with that and to pay for that. And if you think that I didn't need anesthesia to have surgery, after I had to fight with them over that, they didn't want to pay for the pathology after my surgeries. Now, after you have cancer cut out of you, you have pathology sent to the lab where they inspect, dissect, test the whatever they cut out of you. They need to find out what kind of cancer it is, how invasive it is, if they need to cut more. The pathology is super important. Said, no, we're not paying for that. 50% of the importance of this surgery. My daughter had strep throat a couple weeks ago. She got a super basic prescription of amoxicillin. Pharmacy calls me and says they denied it. And I called the doctor and how'd you write up this prescription? And she was like, I just wrote up super basic amoxicillin for strep throat. Pretty much the only way you can do it and the most standard way to do it, there's no reason for them to deny it. So I called United and they were like, oh yeah, sorry. We don't feel like she needs it. Then I call the pharmacy and I'm like, I don't know what to do. And they're like, well, there's nothing we can do, but we found you a coupon. Cool, thanks.
I just been thinking that United Healthcare CEO has 2 sons. And I still don't care. I still don't care. No one cares. You know why? Because they're rich kids. They don't even need health insurance. They could buy a whole surgery out of pocket. The government's like, we don't care. My yoga teacher says that it's Pluto and Aquarius. I don't know what that means. People are finally realizing it's not about left versus right, conservative versus liberal, gay versus straight, black versus white. It's about rich people manipulating poor people to hating each other so they could keep getting richer.
Here at Anthem Blue Cross, we love all of our sick bitches, and we want everyone covered under us to get a real bang for their buck. And that's why today, out of nowhere at all, we've decided to roll back our new policy on anesthesia. So instead of waking you up mid-surgery because we don't want to pay for your gas anymore, we've decided, gas them up, boys. As much anesthetics as anyone out there wants. We do this proudly because we value your lives. We value your lives. And we think everyone deserves to feel safe. Everyone. Because at the end of a long workday, we all deserve to be back at home in our high-rise condos with our friends and family.
My mom died from complications due to diabetes. Diabetes requires a lot of supply, not just things like pumps, insulin, needles, test strips. It's things like batteries, alcohol wipes, Band-Aids, tape, gauze. 6 months before my mom died, her health insurance let her know that all of the things that she had been prescribed and insured for the last 10, 15 years of her life were no longer going to be covered. My mom died. And I'm talking not even 24 hours after. The morning after my mom died, a box full of all of my mom's supplies for the next 4-6 months showed up on my front step. And inside the box, with all of her supplies, there was a letter that said, due to the change in your current situation, we have now fully insured and covered your supplies. The current change in situation was listed as death.
So a few years ago when I worked there and he was on my team and he got fired, the next day he unalived 2 news anchors on live broadcast on his way to the United Healthcare Center that I worked at, my department, to take us out. And he was literally 2 minutes from our call center, right? And knowing United Healthcare, I'm sure they had not terminated his badge, privileges, and everything else yet. They pull us into a room, and obviously we're all visibly shaken. They pull us into a room, and instead of offering us services, and instead of, telling us we're safe, adding police presence, everything else, they did none of that. That if we spoke to any of the media, if we spoke to anyone, that we would be in risk of legal repercussions as well as potentially our job. Came home and I cried and hugged my baby. They made it disappear. United's Healthcare's name was nowhere a part of that other than he had just separated from his previous employer. They were monitoring our calls, and if it even got brought up, the line clicked and the call was done. I got pulled into a room because a guy asked me where I was from, and they were like, oh my gosh, y'all are all over national news right now, blah, blah, blah. I was like, yeah, it's tragic. All I said. I didn't even say the dude used to work there or that he had just gotten killed 5 minutes from where we were. I got pulled in a room. I got in so much trouble. This company makes shit disappear like you would not believe.
Hi, sir. What can I do?
Jen?
for you? Yes. Can you make a note to the claims processing department? All claims are approved. I went through them all and processed them myself. Oh. They're all approved.
wow.
And tell the claims adjusters, no need to adjust anything. Just approved. Just right through, everything approved.
We Black women are the ones who are 3 times more likely to die in childbirth than white women, even accounting for socioeconomic status, meaning a Black woman can be rich and fucking healthy and still die from lack of appropriate care. The fucking healthcare system.
United Healthcare tried to deny coverage for dialysis. My mother's kidneys had failed due to multiple factors. and she had to be started on emergency dialysis in the hospital. Her doctor, upon her release, said, okay, I'm going to set you up at my dialysis center, which is really close to the house. I'll be there to monitor you. We get a bill. So we call her insurance company. No. She's at the wrong center. We want her at this different center, 30 minutes away from your house, that isn't affiliated with her doctors. And oh, by the way, we want her to get dialysis 3 days a week instead of 2. And at the time, she was so weak, she could not drive.
I depose, defend. If that isn't a loud, clear message to all these CEOs across the board of these health insurance companies, I don't know what is.
We feel like we're living parallel lives with the elite in our country. A lot of us aren't that sympathetic towards somebody who has caused the death of many countless people. I mean, it's unknown. 1/3 of this healthcare company's claims are denied, approximately 1/3. That is outrageous. It's more than double the industry standard.
Everybody, you know, there's so many people. We go to Manhattan for Christmas time, and there's just so many people there just enjoying the decorations and a family day, and to have that happening in the middle of all of that, so scary.
What this is it really kind of speaks to how frustrated people are. Things are so incredibly expensive, and health insurance by itself is ridiculously expensive.
They were denied life-saving coverage by United because the company used an AI model with a 90% error rate to determine the claim. A college student insured by United racked up $2 million in medical debt to treat a severe medical issue. He said the company intentionally ignored a report that said this treatment was medically necessary. A man's $140,000 heart surgery wasn't covered by United at all because they said that he used a type of injection that wasn't medically necessary. He didn't even use it. Patients recovering from strokes and falls, often elderly, were denied nursing care from United and were often only covered for half the time needed to recover. That a man who achieved the American dream by causing thousands of Americans to die each year from preventable causes because of a lack of health insurance coverage, it's sad that he got shot. What does that say about society? That nobody who makes money off of people dying is safe anymore? If we want change, we must nicely ask for it. Just like when we nicely ask for health coverage and it gets denied. But we also have a moral responsibility with our one life on this earth to look out for each other and to care for each other. If someone doesn't do that and they lose their life...
Look at the eyebrows. They're very crisp, okay? 5 days later, you're not going to see this much eyebrow growth in like 5 days. It's not going to happen.
My name's Dr. Adam Swigos. I'm a board-certified dermatologist and the owner of an out-of-network dermatology practice. Going out of network is often seen as like a taboo thing to do in this country because our insurance companies have brainwashed us all into thinking that by staying in network, we're somehow getting like a little golden certificate or prize that will make our healthcare cheaper, when in fact it's quite the opposite. Paying cash for certain services and medications can actually save you a lot of money. This last week, I went to fill a generic medicine at Walgreens Pharmacy, which is in network with my United Healthcare insurance. Traditionally, before I switched to UHC, my prescriptions would cost me anywhere from $20 to $30 a month. So you can imagine my surprise when the total bill for my medications came to almost $450, with one generic medicine costing $340 on its own. So the first thing I did when this happened is I pulled up GoodRx, typed in the medicine, and looked up what the cash price could be, and you'll see here that there were dozens of options that were exceedingly cheaper. Also, those bottom two pharmacies, that's Walgreens Pharmacy, which literally has marked this medication up like 1,000%. So it's a PSA and a reminder that your health insurance doesn't care about you. The physician taking care of you or other healthcare providers that are interacting with you, they do care, and they're trying their best in this very broken system to get you access, quality, and also to control costs.
People seem really happy about it. I think it's the first time I've ever seen health insurance help with someone's mental health.
You think that people are happy about this, but you're wrong. This isn't joy. They're excited, sure, but that excitement is a product of rage, not joy. And that rage comes from a deep and dark, profound and prolonged sense of sorrow. There's nothing joyful about this situation at all, but people can only tolerate something for so long before they can't. Get pumped full of overpriced, deliberately addictive pharmaceuticals that milk them dry for every penny they're worth, and when there's nothing left to take, they get thrown aside and discarded like they have no worth at all. Please spare me your posturing and waxing poetic about Western morality and democratic virtue. Just because billionaires and CEOs kill without getting their hands dirty doesn't make them less guilty. Just because you signed a piece of paper stating certain types of murder are okay doesn't make it so.
In cold blood to resolve policy differences or express a viewpoint.
Please, this is Western consumerism. We kill for everything we do here. We kill for oil, for cobalt, for copper, for lithium. We actively enslave and kill people in the poor parts of the world to cheaply manufacture electronics and toys and candies and chocolates and fabrics full of...
I'm Dr. Aldine Zeno. I'm a private practice owner and urogynecologist. Now, this is a bar graph of claim denial rates by insurance companies across the United States. You can see that United Healthcare has approximately 32%, nearly 1/3 of their claims, actually a map of the average denial rate for in-network claims by healthcare.gov insurers. So this is health insurance that's obtained through the Marketplace Exchange through the Affordable Care Act. You'll see that those states that are in darker blue actually have relatively higher claim denial rates, and that's especially prevalent in the Midwest and the South. And it's no wonder that in those demographics, the electorate in general think very unfavorable with the Affordable Care Act and think pretty highly of President Trump. There is nothing worse than as a patient being stuck with a bill that you were not expecting. But for me, as a private practice owner and having a small business, there's also nothing worse as a caregiver to provide a service and then just not be paid for it. And as you can see, unfortunately, the insurance companies win in this situation because most people don't even appeal. So my question for people that want to dismantle the Affordable Care Act, what's your plan going forward for health insurance in this country?
But aside from jury nullification, it just takes one juror to find an alleged suspect innocent or abstain from deciding, and you end up with a hung jury. That would be a mistrial, and the case would be thrown out of court.
Like, it's so bad, this dude wasn't even cold yet, and people started making health insurance puns about it. Someone called his assassin a cutie patootie on Twitter. If I got killed, and then immediately after a bunch of strangers online started making ball jokes like, oh, looks like Humpty Dumpty took his last